Welcome to the 2-Act Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, gothjon. Who else am I speaking with?
Hello, everyone. I'm your other co-host, Audie. Excited today to see what we're talking about.
Yeah. All right. So on our last podcast, we recommended Deadpool and Wolverine. And I know everyone and their mom will have already been spoiled by this. So that's your spoiler warning.
I'd be surprised, genuinely, if no one has heard about this by now.
Right. Didn't they make like $1 billion?
They're close to. They're like 16 million away from touching the billion.
That's crazy. Oh, Marvel movies are back. At least for now.
Maximum effort, I guess.
I was going to tell you, I saw a freaking 10-year-old in my cinema. They were with their family, and I was just like, all right, they're going to have some explaining on the car ride home.
That's wild. It's some sort of an education, I guess.
Right. We'll see how good the American education system will set them up for this. I had, I want to say like 3 or 4 people in my movie theater. I was very smart. I'm like, I'm going to go early on a Saturday morning, and there ain't going to be anybody there. The first showing at 10 a.m. I saw some trailers that I was like, they're still making these. Like that Venom movie. I was like, who the hell is watching these still?
Yeah.
Like the Venom fight scenes are like Transformers. It's a jumbled mess of CGI where you have a hard time even trying to figure out what the hell is going on in the film. Unlike this film. I really enjoyed the fight scenes in this film. Even the impromptu dance scene at the start, the Backstreet Boys.
Oh, that was not the Backstreet Boys.
Oh, was it NSYNC?
It was NSYNC.
I made a blunder. Oh no. Oh well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty
that.
common thing. A lot of people mistake both the bands because they're basically the same in a way, but a lot consider Backstreet Boys to be the OGs.
I feel like I've really slighted because I'm American. I should know this. I really enjoyed that opening scene. I liked this just shitting on Logan. I loved that because, all the fanboys were going to cry about it. They literally digged up his corpse and used it as an impromptu weapon. I really enjoyed that. Just using adamantium skeleton, just smashing people in the face with it.
Yeah, I gotta agree. That was a highlight for me. The opening scene. I mean, just the whole way it came out. Like, that's the last thing you'd expect, right? Because reading up to it, everyone was like, "Oh, how are they gonna like do this and bring him back without like ruining the legacy of Logan?" And they were like pretty conscious about saying that, "Oh, preserving and respecting Logan's legacy is our top priority." And then just to start out with Deadpool sitting with his corpse, and then using his adamantium body to like slash those TVA guards, batshit crazy. That too with NSYNC playing.
Yeah. Did you see the damn dance number coming from like anywhere?
I did. Honestly, I did not. I knew they were gonna use. I knew they were gonna use a good song because throughout the Deadpool movies, they've always been spot on with their musical choices. So I knew I could expect a great, like, it's got to be a good 90s song. Like, when they used George Michael's Careless Whisper in the first one, it hit with me. In the second one, they got Celine Dion to, like, sing the opening, which is amazing and hilarious. But I do admit that the only thing I feel like I missed with the opening scene this time is like the first 2 movies had like those funny opening credit where they were like, instead of like writing the credits of the people working in the film, there were jokes. But this one, it didn't have that. But apart from that, I mean, I love the way he was dancing, bye, and he's just like, and he's like slashing, and he's like, Wolverining is hard. Make it stop. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Mangold tried to stop.
He like stabs a guy in the butt and stabs a guy in the dick, and he's like trying to like pull him out. I'm sorry. That was awesome.
Yeah, the opening was great.
Yeah, and that kind of like opens into like what his life is now, and that's like the part of the movie that didn't work for me. It's just like I don't care that you're normal. I don't.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of I do like opening thoughts. I love the opening, the way it opened up, but I feel like everything that followed from there was kind of like it didn't match my expectations of what I'd hope it could achieve moving from there. Right. But there's a lot of things I just loved about it, where I had like a shit-eating grin the whole time watching it. But there's also things that I didn't like, which we'll get to, I'm sure. But that was like,
nope, we're ending the review right here.
What?
We're ending the review right here.
Well, I just wanted to, before we start, I just wanted to say that this is a pretty polarizing film, but I think it's like it's the shot in the arm the MCU needed. That's for sure.
Right. It's been on life support for a while, since post Endgame is just like you just hear boop, 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 and everyone's looking around. They're like, okay, are they gonna bring back the Russos? Is that what's happening? Are we gonna
bring back Robert Downey?
Oh.
Are we gonna bring back Chris Evans as Cap?
That. Yeah, I liked that. That was cute. I liked all the cameos. I enjoyed everyone, even Wesley Snipes. He was like, "I'll be the only Blade." I was like,
Deadpool looking at the window. The reaction was gold, and he was just like,
right. It's pretty great. Yeah, even in this type of movie, there's a 3-act structure. I felt like I was like, okay, well, we're gonna get a call to action because the hero is in the dumps, and I was just rolling my eyes. Even in a goddamn Deadpool movie, we're gonna do a call to action, and it's a literal call to action too. And I think it helped that I did all my Marvel homework like a good a Marvel fanboy. I watched all the Loki shows, so when they showed up in the TVA, I wasn't completely confused.
You see, I didn't. So when some of those characters showed up, I was just like, I know of the TVA because I've seen like the first season of Loki, but beyond that, I don't have like a crazy sense of what they do. Like I know what they do, but like I know like they were gonna tie it up with the MCU somehow. But when I saw the TVA and when I saw that it was gonna go to time travel and multiverse, I was kind of like, they're kind of just doing the same thing again.
Right.
But the
kind
redeeming,
of what that last movie ended on.
Yeah, but the redeeming quality is it's a Deadpool movie, and more than a Deadpool movie, it's a Deadpool and Wolverine movie. So it's essentially a buddy comedy road trip movie, which serves as a love letter to the Fox superhero films, right?
Right, the Bryan Singer joints.
Ooh, I'm surprised they didn't have a joke on Bryan Singer in this.
Oh, I think they want to distance as far as they can because of how you know how the stories with him, right? With the Bryan Singer.
Oh yeah, it's awful.
Where
but
you get like young men in his movies and take advantage of them, and yeah, it's kind of creepy.
Yeah, you can't say. I mean, you know what? Now that I think of it, there's a joke in the film where when someone says to Deadpool, "Oh, look at this, it's huge," and he was like, "That's what Scoutmaster Kevin used to say."
Yep,
that's like, ooh,
do that. Yep. I'm like,
I wonder if they replaced that with Bryan Singer.
Yeah, probably. They probably didn't want to get sued.
100% they did. But it's a weird one. There's such a frat, weird like comedy vibe to Deadpool's humor that you can't escape.
Yeah, they did a lot of Coke jokes that they had to say, "Oh no, Disney doesn't want us doing cocaine in this movie." Just like a lot of that. I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I'm surprised though that that was the only thing, because when I watched it, I did rewatch like the first two. I felt like it wasn't as hardcore as the first two in terms of like its rating.
Right.
But I was surprised to hear that the only thing off the table was cocaine. That was it. I was like, really? Surely there's more to that.
A lot of crude adult jokes for sure.
Which
was kind of be expected.
Yeah.
It's intermittent. A lot of boner jokes. A lot of. It almost feels like Freddie got fingered for a couple of scenes. And you're just like, okay, all right. We are all 14, and I'm down for the ride. This is a good popcorn, turn off your brain movie. Just enjoy the zaniness going on screen, where you get time travel shenanigans, and you get a height accurate Wolverine, which was awesome. I really enjoyed those scenes.
Yeah,
the
nod to the Short King Wolverine.
Right, Short King.
Batshit crazy.
I loved it.
Yeah, there's a range of variations of Wolverine, as expected when you go to multiverse storytelling. But we also got the Calverine.
Calverine, yeah. Maybe that's who takes over. He's so buff. Look at those muscles.
Oh, he looked menacing. He could totally.
Did you know
pull
who
it off.
the Wolverine that was gambling at the table? Do you know what Wolverine that is?
Isn't that Patch?
Yeah, it's Patch.
That's Patch. Yeah. We also got Old Man Logan, where he says, "Oh, that could use some coconut oil."
I don't even remember that. Yeah, that probably happened.
Yeah, he gets shot with a shotgun as a result.
Yeah, I remember that. That.
I can't believe it's finally happened. You know, the first two Deadpool movies, Wolverine's always been like referenced or mentioned or like picked on by Wade Wilson, and I'll never forget the opening of Deadpool 2. I still think as funny as hell when he basically has that toy that's kind of a musical box with Wolverine, like Logan dead from Logan, where he's like got a shard of wood pierced, and he's like, "Fuck Wolverine." First he writes my coattails on the R rating, and now he decides to kill himself.
Right.
And I'm just glad that because it was like the only thing that bothered me about Logan and the ending with Jackman retiring the character was like, we'll never get to see him in a Deadpool movie.
He's the only person that can do Wolverine.
Yeah.
If you get somebody to replace him, it's going to be weird because he doesn't age.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Like the character doesn't age, not obviously.
Well, at 55, I'd say Jackman looked
good.
more fit now than he did when he did X-Men.
Right.
So
yeah, those X-Men movies are your mileage may vary. They're very some of them are better than others. Some of them are a toad getting electrocuted, like they're cheesy and corny. Like I loved all of them. I had this is gonna date myself, but I had the VHS tapes of the X-Men movies.
Yeah, the X-Men movies, you know, that with the Blade films were kind of like the first foray into CGI superhero films. So I guess it's nice that they could tie it up, but I did have something to say about it because I feel like it I mean, I enjoyed that it was a cameo fest, and I feel like you could have gone either one or two directions with that. It's like the direction they went was the idea of having these rejects who were characters we thought we'd never see was pretty fucking cool. Like, it was great to see Blade and Johnny Storm, and I gotta highlight the best one for me, without doubt, was Channing Tatum as Gambit. I mean,
Yeah, I like that. that accent.
Oh,
I was laughing pretty
Chef's
hard. I was the
kiss.
only one in the theater laughing,
chef's kiss.
but I did enjoy that. You could not. You need subtitles for him.
Oh, I'm about to make a name for myself.
That was awesome.
I mean, it just shows like how ridiculous it would have been if he did get to play Gambit in that way.
He should.
I mean, he totally should, and
I'll
I
watch
really
it.
hope. I really hope.
10 out of 10.
It
Do
happens.
I'll give that movie a 10 out of 10.
But it showed that this character, despite being ridiculous, is so badass. Like, I loved
Right.
his scenes, his action in the film, the way he used the cards to split people. All of that was amazing. I mean, I'm just glad for. I think Channing Tatum is like one of the best comedic actors of our generation. Like, his work in 21 and 22 Jump Street. Is like, for me, like, that's a hallmark of my teenage years, like watching those films. They're some of the best comedies I've ever seen. And it's funny because there's a reference in in 22 Jump Street where he uses a Spanish accent and he says, "My name is Jeff," and when he says that, there's the bad guy kind of looks like Wolverine. I don't know if you remember, if you've seen it, but I thought that was a nice, funny nod to like the Jump Street films. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Channing Tatum. I'm so glad that he got a chance to play this character because this is what we need. We need like newer characters being portrayed on screen. And for him, it's been a long journey of not being able to like get this character on screen, and to be able to like even play it for a brief moment was great to see.
Right. Yeah. I even enjoyed Jennifer Gardner coming back. I thought that was kind of neat. I'm like, oh, she can still do these things. She's Elektra.
Yeah. I mean, see, that's what I meant with the Cameo Fest. Is like, it's great that they got these characters to reappear, but I feel like it would have been better if we could have seen like Ian McKellen or like Rogue or like all these X-Men characters who would have had a much more like.
I'm surprised they didn't have what's his face reprise Charles Xavier.
Yeah,
like
James McAvoy or Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart, yeah. Well, he's getting old now.
Well, I suppose they used Patrick Stewart in Multiverse of Madness, which is pretty underwhelming.
Yeah,
and he was.
They used him in Logan too.
Oh yeah, I mean he was great.
He was
in
the old
Logan.
man. He says "fuck."
I know, but he was great in Logan. I thought that was.
Yeah, I thought he was too.
Yeah, but I feel like they should have really gone all the way with its cameos. I feel like if this was a movie made by Fox, it would have been better as a Deadpool and Wolverine film than it has been with Disney and Marvel. But that being said, I mean, I feel like there's a cynical sense of false nostalgia, fan baiting. Like, filling it with cameos to get fan reactions doesn't necessarily make it great. Even though I enjoyed, like, Chris Evans and that whole the flip on the head where we're thinking it's Cap and then it turns out it's Johnny Storm.
It's Cap. Oh, if I was in a full theater, I'm sure I would have had some people like flipping out.
Yeah. I mean that was a great twist there, but it was even funnier to see that he was just hamming it with a Boston accent, not giving a fuck.
Yeah. No, that's what Johnny Storm was in that damn Fantastic Four skin movie.
Yeah, and also, you had like Jon Favreau show up as Happy Hogan, and apparently, people don't know this, but Favreau being there was pretty funny for me because considering that a lot of these cameos were like Fox-related superheroes, Favreau actually played Foggy Nelson in Daredevil, but a lot of people don't know about that. So it was, I chuckled to see that he was in it. And also being like the guy who made the first MCU movie. It was nice to see him there. And apparently they even had Robert Downey Jr. featured to cameo as Tony Stark, but then they decided to not do it because of his casting as Doctor Doom.
Okay. Oh. Ooh.
Or else we would have had a
I
RDJ
did
cameo.
see that at the, was it Comic-Con? Where you like showed up wearing the mask?
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? What are we doing? Have we just given up? Are we just going to bring everyone back as a different character?
Well, that's kind of like the issue I have with Marvel, right? Because like a lot of Marvel films post Endgame have led to just repackaging the same stuff for fan service. For example, using the multiverse to show the same characters in variations. You know, in light of like Downey coming back as Doctor Doom because he needs to save this franchise again and be Marvel Jesus. Unlike Deadpool can be in this film. But
just call
like
me MJ for short.
Yeah, but it's just things like, you know, the Spider-Man No Way Home. They got the old Spider-Man back.
That was so
Captain
I love that
America.
movie.
Captain America, they're revamping him. So the problem with that is, you know, it gets to a point where it's led to a lack of originality or vision that made the Infinity War arc so worthy and satisfying with its build-up. I just feel like characters are no longer staying dead, and there are no emotional stakes. So that robs you so much of what's important about these characters, despite the comics and that being ever going. But I think like I think there's quality to like bringing closure to character arcs and not making everything a joke. You know, if the MCU universe can't seem to take it seriously anymore, why should the fans?
Right.
But this is a different film. Like Deadpool and Wolverine, for me, like we all love Deadpool because he just doesn't fit in any universe, right? He's just such a interesting character that
he's a cartoon character.
He is a cartoon character.
It's like The Mask.
He doesn't have a moral compass, and that's what I like about him. But I think like if you compare it to the earlier Deadpool movies, this is like the least Deadpool it feels like watching him. And I'll get to what I mean. Is like I feel like this film misses the point in what makes Deadpool funny beyond his self-referential meta commentary and fourth wall breaking. Yeah. Or even Reynolds just riffing off. You know, it's the fact that Deadpool, he does certain irreverent things that can be violent or shocking, which is what makes him so funny. And one example I'll give you in this film is like there's a scene where he's like dragging Nice Pool, the Deadpool who's just Ryan Reynolds without a mask, and he drags him across the variants, and he just gets like completely killed because they're shooting at him. And turns out the only reason he did that was because he wanted dog poo and he wanted his gold-plated pistols. And it's aspects like that make him stand out as a character and show how funny he can be through his behavior and just his nature, which doesn't necessarily need to be just him making jokes. So it's stuff like that I think like I missed in this film. Like I wish it had more of that. But that was my observation on like Deadpool as a character in this one.
Yeah, I can see that. The one thing that kind of irked me a little bit, it's not like a crazy detriment, but so they doing the Cameo Fest and they start showing villains. They showed Sabretooth, and I was like, oh shit, Wolverine and Sabretooth they're gonna have their sweet kick-ass fight. And then like in 3 seconds he like cut off Sabretooth's head. He was like, wee, and I was just like, god damn it, there's so much bullshit in this movie and you had to cut that in 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's like I think 10 seconds less and he's just chopped off and he's dead.
Right.
Just the
character
character
time it took to show his character, they immediately deleted it.
Yeah, and that's what I meant. Like it's a 50-50 when it comes to the cameos, because some work better than others. Like X-23 being there in the film, I thought there's really no reason to see that. I thought
it was
like
a callback to Logan.
Yeah, it was a callback, but I feel like, like, look, the first thing was like you're bringing back Wolverine, right? I was like curious to know how are they going to bring back Wolverine. Turns out the writing in this film is so lazy. They were like, let's just get a variant who's a loser. And the thing is, it's the same Wolverine. Literally every Wolverine is a tortured, alcoholic, guilt-driven dude who's living in sorrow and has to like be there and do the right thing. And I feel like, I don't know, retreading that didn't work. But that being said, I thought Hugh Jackman puts in an incredible performance in this film. Like, I cannot fault with his portrayal. Like, he has truly earned the right to play this character however he wants, because there's no one else who can do justice to this role like he has for the past nearly 25 years now.
Right.
So I thought his performance though redeems the lazy writing, and the lazy writing is an issue for me with Deadpool's motivation as well, because I feel like it's retreading the same shit like of him and Vanessa. Like in the first film, he needs to win Vanessa because he's not sure if he can do that with the way he looks now. In the second film, it's Vanessa's dead and he needs to bring her back, and he feels the guilt of her death. And in the third one, she just thinks he's not good enough anymore, and they break up, and that turns out he just lets himself go and kind of retires the whole Deadpool gig until he's brought into the TVA and they're told that your universe is in danger. And then he's like, this is my purpose. Like, I need to do this to win Vanessa. So I just feel like that was a weak point with like his motivation, because that is literally the only motivation with Deadpool. Right. It's Vanessa. But that being said, a lot of the characters we liked from the Deadpool movies are kind of taken a backseat in this one. Did that matter to you, or were you all right with that?
I didn't want any of them in the movie. The only person I wanted in the movie is there's two people. There's the teenage warhead lady, the chick with the
Japanese
hair.
girlfriend.
Yeah, the Japanese girlfriend. I like her. I like because she's like, she just says like two words, and I'm like, and Deadpool always is like, yeah, I like you. You're great. And Colossus is CGI. It's whatever. His character is as solid as his CGI. It's just like whatever. And his little sidekick guy that put on the suit, I thought that was pretty funny when he put the damn suit on. Yeah, Peter.
Yeah, Peter is great.
That whole like big Deadpool fight, I was like, why is this in the movie?
I completely agree. That was my exact reaction as well. Like, why are we watching?
I know we're here for a spectacle, but I'm confused why it's happening.
I'll tell you why it's happening.
Because cool.
Well, yeah, it looks cool, but the thing is, it's because it's poor writing. Now, when you look at the fact,
and Ryan Reynolds wanted to get his whole family in the movie.
Well, that's going to be in the movie regardless of how you write it. You could
Lady Pool, his wife.
That's not.
Pool,
it's just voiced by his wife. Those are just voiced.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just voiced. They're not. They're all stunt performers. They're not real.
They're
not real actors in there. They're not the ones who voice the characters. Right.
They're
that
taking
would
real
ridiculously blow the budget over.
Right.
But my point is, like, this film is written by 5 different writers.
Yeah, that seems
itself,
about like a Marvel movie. You got too many cooks in the kitchen.
Exactly. Look, cross collaboration is freaking hard, man.
Right.
Making a movie is hard enough, but when you have to write a script with multiple people, that is another level. I've got some experience of writing screenwriting with other co-writers, and I can tell you right off the bat, it's not easy. You need to be completely in sync and have a strong sense of narrative direction, or else it could be a mess like this one is. I think like the result of like having, because obviously Ryan Reynolds wrote some of the jokes in this film, which were expected.
Oh, absolutely.
He needs to. Yeah, that's his character, right? You got Sean Levy, who's the director, and you got two other writers, I'm assuming, who probably worked in MCU movies. So you've got Marvel writers in there, you've got the director writing in there, you got the protagonist actor writing in there. So what that results into is like the plot suffers massively because they're trying to balance the whole multiverse time travel shtick, and they're meddling with characterizations, and because of that, I feel like the villains get affected the most. And with that scene where it's like, it's a cool scene. You see Wolverine and Deadpool, and you see Wolverine wearing the cowl, the mask for the first time, and he's like, I get to kill 100 yous? Fuck yeah. And and it's just like a one shot, like Old Boy. That's what the reference was.
Right. Okay.
It was like a one shot street fight where they're just like trying to kill all these Deadpool variants, and the whole thing was out of place because why is this in the movie? You know, that whole time could have been spent in, I don't know, developing Cassandra Nova more as a villain when she enters Deadpool's universe from the void, because I feel like her character is so strong and so Charles Xavier like that she just ends up being a bit like disregarded in the end, and that affects the whole. But it feels like they didn't know how to link the third act to that scene where they go and stop her, and I feel like they were like, oh, let's add this scene because it looks cool and we can get around with it, and it'll be a great
It'll look
shot.
Great in the trailer.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not only the writing. I'm sorry if this is critical. I just feel like I enjoy pointing it out. I enjoy pointing it out because like I feel like the action, the choreography is great. I don't have a problem with. But I do feel like the action, the direction of the action, and the staging of the scenes is a step down in quality compared to David Leitch, who did The Fall Guy. And he did Deadpool 2. And David Leitch was a stuntman himself, so he knew how to direct these sort of action scenes. He did the first John Wick movie as well, so clearly someone who's experienced with action. And to give you an example of what I mean by competency, you look at that one take where they're fighting, right?
Right.
That scene would have been great if it was just one take. But in the middle, it just gets chopped up where there's a cutaway of like blind Al and a shot of her from her apartment looking at, or well, she can't see, but hearing at what's happening. And it was so jarring. Like, there was no need to cut away from that one take and split it into two, but it almost felt like, again, they didn't know how to direct that scene and how to get around it in the screenplay, so they just like tried to cover and patch things up as much as they can.
Try to save it on the edit.
Yeah, that's what it was. I'm sorry, unfortunately, I can see it's a gaping flaw in the film, but I wanted to point it out. It's cool, sure. You can have a great scene of him and Wolverine slashing and whatnot, fighting variants that are completely unnecessary. What have the variants done to Deadpool? I mean, there's no motive to kill them, right?
And it's even stupider, the reason why they stopped fighting.
Yeah.
We love this guy, Peter. It's like, what the fuck? I just got whiplash. Ow. In a car crash.
It's cynical. That's what it is. A lot of the film is a massive cynical cash grab, which is fine. which is
Right.
fine because it needs it. But the thing is, like, what I'll point out is preempting your errors does not necessarily absolve you from being bad. Like, another example I'll give you, right, in the screenplay. Deadpool says, "Oh, what in the MacGuffin is that?" When they look at the whole time travel thing.
Right.
So they're like kind of like acknowledging, okay, this is a
That-
MacGuffin in the story, so we're gonna say it's a MacGuffin so that we can get away with it. It's played for jokes, and the same thing happens when they come to the wasteland, right? And there's an awful lot of similarity to like the Mad Max films because the cars and like the way it is post apocalyptical wasteland.
Right.
And he makes kind of like a Furiosa joke, which is ironic because Furiosa actually looks way better in its depiction of the wasteland than this one. I mean, if you look at the budget for this, the fact that they spent $250 million, it's a pretty ugly film to look at. Like the wasteland feels pretty generic to me. And I don't know what it is with superhero movies these days where they're like, it's almost like they're now suffering from this whole criticism of, they keep destroying cities, so let's just go.
I think it's a lot of like parallels with like 9/11 and like other like really terrible events.
Not just 9/11. It's also like all these Avenger films and all these movies that take place in New York where the skyscrapers get destroyed, and they're like, it's getting to the point where people are like literally pointing it out, and now we need to find a different place to do it. And I'm sure
Dragon Ball Z Land.
Yeah, look at the Flash film that came out last year. It does a similar thing, and it looks pretty bad. They have this massive fight in a vast open land, and the same thing's happening here. But like those are like issues with the film. But again, look, I was still having a great time. There were too many moments where I was like laughing. There were like moments of fan service between Deadpool and Wolverine, which were great. Loved the banter they had with each other. I thought the jokes were really good, but I felt like as a narrative piece, this does not work in a simple form whatsoever.
Right.
I feel like a better director would have done a much better job getting the story across, because you don't necessarily need a story to watch these characters. They could just be, it's a buddy movie. That's what it is. It's just two guys who are like, the whole point of watching is to see them together and see them sort of, team up and banter through. So plot doesn't necessarily need to be your strongest suit in this film, but I feel the plot is so weak that it struggles to like really elevate the film to what I wanted it to be in terms of my expectations.
All right. Yeah, I could agree with some of that for sure. The writing's all over the place. The pacing suffers as well. It's like one of my major things that I had problems with this movie. There are certain parts of the movie where I just feel like they're just dragging on forever, and certain parts of the movie they're just going too fast. Like I'm getting whiplash just watching this movie. And then you have once they get to the Mad Max area, you got a billion cameos, and you're like looking at characters. You're like, do I recognize that character? Do I recognize that character? You're like trying to like stare, and then they do a weird ass one-liner when they get captured. That's what I wrote in my notes. I don't remember what the hell it was, but it was some weird ass one-liner. I was like, that's kind of weird. Who wrote that? And like Johnny Storm just showing up, and I'm just remembering these like really cheesy Fantastic Four movies. I was like, okay, all right. I did enjoy the lady that did Cassandra Nova. I liked her acting. It kind of reminded me of Kate Blanchett in that
the
Thor
ancient
movie.
one.
Yeah. Well, no,
she was
not
in
that.
Doctor Strange.
She was? Okay.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed her chewing up the scenery type of acting. Like, they didn't really write anything really good for her to use. In fact, like, her entire evil villainy, I'm on board for that. But then she like craps out at the end. I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you help them? You have nothing to gain from this.
And that's just poor. That's just because of poor writing.
Right.
The performance is great. I loved Emma Corrin. I thought she was she was so powerful and menacing. Like the way she killed Johnny Storm,
It's just like
laughing my ass off. Just turned him into
made him guts.
Meat. Guts
Just took
and
away
meat.
his bones. He just fell.
That was so unexpected. The way she put her fingers in their faces and like, that was just
so gross. I'm just like squirming. I'm like, this is awesome. I love this.
But it was like, wow, like you're seeing someone who's she's a twin, isn't she, Professor?
Yeah. So
X.
I read up a little bit on it. She's like supposed to be Professor Xavier's like twin, but she like either tries to kill him or he kills her in the womb because how evil she is, and she becomes like an evil spirit, and then forms a body of her own, and then gets pruned to the void with Eliath, and she rules the void.
That's what I didn't understand, because she likes being in the void because she's the king of the void, or the queen of the void, but all of a sudden she has a change of heart and has the need to go into the real world
the plot came
and destroy.
Up and it really needed her to be in the final act.
Yeah, that was the only reason. There was if they had to spend a little more thinking in maybe
This is
building that up more, it would have been much better.
Are really hard to write, and they're really hard to do well, because this is what ends up happening. You're just all over the damn place. You're trying to find out how your characters meet, how your plot will progress, how like the structure is going to happen, and then you get a random Deadpool fight because you thought it looked cool.
Yeah. I could see it. I mean, look, I was chuckling throughout. It's not like I was like, it's not like I was eye rolling my way to the end, but I really enjoyed like it. The time passed by, and just seeing like Jackman return was great, because I've accepted the fact that this universe, or the whole way Marvel runs its scheme, I've accepted the fact that no character is truly and well and truly dead, or even the actor portraying them. Even though if the character's killed off, like they could just do a multiverse and bring a variant, and a lot of fans have expressed concern about Robert Downey Jr. coming as Doctor Doom, which I'm excited to see how it comes out. Even though I was a bit bummed out that they went down that route, but I really hope he's just not a variant, and I really hope he's actually Doctor Doom, because that is a really complex character worth exploring. But that being said, it's like you're going back to the same things, and my earlier remark on repackaging, and that's what they're doing. They're just repackaging the same stuff different and giving it back to the audience, and I feel like it's
for.
Yeah. It's getting to the point where they've been doing it for nearly 20 years now,
right?
So eventually people are gonna grow out of it. I'm sure like Secret Wars will be like the ultimate milking.
Yeah, I'm just gonna I'm not gonna get hyped or excited for anything anymore. This was the last movie that I cared about seeing in the theater, just because I like Deadpool. I like Wolverine. Wolverine's my favorite X-Man. I like when he says to Wolverine, "Welcome to the MCU. You're coming in at a low point." Like he knows, like these movies have sucked for a bit. You have Eternals, where I actually took a nap in. You have a freaking Ant-Man movie where I was like, "What is going on?" I'm getting
and there was Ant-Man in this film.
Yep,
his giant
dead.
skeletal body.
Yeah.
That was a funny reference.
Right. It was a little cute
Thor
nod.
crying.
Yeah, Thor crying. Oh, I got to get to the scene where Thor is crying, holding me.
Yeah. Marvel. They also had a CGI Hulk cameo.
Yeah, for the Wolverine and Hulk fight in the comics.
Yeah.
He had his old brown and yellow suit.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I really liked a lot of the costume design in this movie. It was very spot on.
I thought he looked great with the yellow original.
Oh, yeah. When he put on the
costume.
hat,
It was great to see.
oh, that was all the fanboys were creaming in their pants over that.
They
on the
were,
mask.
but it looks so CGI. That's the only issue.
Right.
Like the way the eyes look.
Right.
Like in that last shot where they come out, it would have been great if they both were unmasked because it would emotionally hit more.
Okay.
But I like again, I totally understand. Like they're going with the comic book route where they wanted to show them in their real suits. So it's great to see that they got a chance. Like it's
Got
a bit
balls.
it is a bit ridiculous. Like Wolverine, Hugh Jackman in all the years playing him never actually got a chance to wear the original suit or the mask. So
Right.
I guess it was a good moment.
Oh, they made jokes about it. What do you expect? Spandex? In the old
Yeah,
X-Men
he-
movies, they'd said a line
Didn't
like
he?
that.
Didn't he say like? Didn't he look at his mask and say like, "Oh, what's the mileage? What's the mileage on those blowjob handles?"
yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that was. What did you think of the whole TVA thing?
It's what kind of crazy ass plot? It's the only way you're gonna do time travel. I didn't have a problem with it. Like the writing around it wasn't as good as it should be, but time travel's messy. It's hard to write. Like you said, there shouldn't have been so many cooks in the kitchen. I probably could have had a narrative vision. I didn't have a
I'm
problem
telling
with
you,
that.
if it was made by Fox, like a purely
Well,
Fox.
that's the thing. I strongly disagree with that because I've seen what happens with the Venom movies. Those are terrible. I've seen what happens with the Sony, the Sony Spider-Man movies, like Amazing Spider-Man and all that. Oh, it's so bad. Morbius, it's Morbin time. That was never actually said in the movie. Those movies are god awful. Madam fucking Web. They cannot make a good movie to save their life. So,
But that's Sony though. That's not the same thing.
Exactly. That's what reminds
Fox
me.
has a reputation of hits when it was an existing
Right.
corporate. Like they did do great X-Men films, like Days of Future Past.
Yep, that was a good one.
You know,
X-Men 3
Logan.
Cheesy.
Like, come
Yeah,
on, like
Logan was
even
good.
Logan was it's kind of like a masterpiece in my opinion. Like,
Yeah, no, it's a great movie.
that's like a perfect modernized version of a Western superhero. So like, you know, I can't really say that Fox is purely bad, even though they had quite a lot of misses as well. But
Right.
what my point was when I say that it would have been better with Fox, I don't mean necessarily the producers of Fox. I just mean like if they had, if it was just purely like able to pick on all the X-Men characters in there and like make it, you know, if say imagine instead of Cassandra Nova you had like, you know, Magneto and all these other villains in there who
Right.
we've already had a relationship with. It could have been a better capping off than
Definitely.
having the whole Disney MCU formula of it needs to fit into our universe.
Right.
Oh.
No, I can agree with that. Maybe Disney.
But I do want to make
Shit on
a
it a little.
point. No, I don't want to shit on it. I do want to.
No.
There
I'm
was
saying
one.
Disney did. By
Oh,
making it
Disney,
Disney.
yeah.
They didn't make it better.
Yeah, no, but there was one point that you know, because if you look at the reception to the film, it's largely been positive, and
Right.
people have been weighing up whether the film is like ribbing on the Fox movies or if it's a loving homage.
I think it's
a few
loving.
people. Yeah, for the most part, a few reviews have also mentioned that like the plot is either weak or nothing makes sense, like we have in this conversation. But like some examples were like Mr. Paradox, right, who's played by Matthew McFadden. He just like confesses to Deadpool he's gonna kill his timeline,
Right.
or why he tells him straight up your timeline is failing if Logan died in the future.
He's a core
Like, even though there's no
character.
point to reveal these things, like he could have just killed the timeline straight up. But I think like these kind of commentaries miss the point that this is a Deadpool film which is finally meta. Not meta in like the self-referential fourth wall breaking way, like meta commentary on the history of these franchises. Because it isn't that Logan died. It's that Hugh Jackman killed off the character, and the Fox X-Men franchise, which is the timeline, can't survive without it. So the studio, the TVA basically represents like studio which want to give it a swift death reboot, decanonizing to preserve the sacred timeline, right? The TVA talks about. Now, a lot of people can say the sacred timeline represents the MCU. So Mr. Paradox is happy to just pluck and rip off the IP and place it, like just put Deadpool in MCU and that solves the whole thing. He's happy to do that. He even offers Deadpool a chance and says, you can serve a greater purpose with us. And your timeline is going to die regardless of what you choose. But I think it's more than just a love letter to Fox. It's kind of like a justification for like all the failed or conflicting franchises and recastings that tried to get off the ground, only to be axed without like a fighting chance, all to preserve the MCU. In fact, I'd argue like this was the biggest dig at Disney the film could possibly have done. And it's a dig at the fans as well, because the fans are like happy to like disregard the work of others and what they've put in other movies. Like if Wolverine could be redeemed from X-Men Origins Wolverine, what does that make us being so quick to hunger for like a rebooted Fantastic Four or a rebooted Blade movie that'll never occur?
I hope it never does.
There's never going to be one Blade.
Yep. I really hope so. Weren't they talking about bringing back Daredevil too, like the TV show?
I think it just got announced in the Disney D23 Expo where it's called Daredevil Born Again.
It's like whatever. You guys,
no, it's
the
actually
boys
the same.
Did it right when they showed all their 5,000 projects and why you should be excited about them and just shit on it.
Yeah,
like training train. I'm just like,
when you watch The Boys and then you watch this, I'm sorry, but this is a massive like U-turn you can't make.
Right. Like shit, this is actually good.
Yeah. It's not necessarily that it's bad. It's not that the
right. It's just not. It's different, I guess. Best way to put it.
It's the intent on what's going on is pretty darn evident. Like if you look at the whole multiverse thing didn't work.
Right.
Like they've been doing this for every freaking movie, and that's what I hate. Like why does every Marvel movie need to be about the multiverse since Endgame? Like why can't it just be its own thing? Right? Why does it necessarily... Now, okay, it's fine if you're going to do it, but then if you're doing it, make sure it's going to lead to something. Right. But it's not even leading to anything. Because turns out you've just killed off your biggest villain for the next Avenger movie, who was Kang. And you decided that it was a good idea to have him in an Ant-Man movie and have him killed off by a bunch of ants. So I think like that is just like a result of like unsure of what direction they're heading, But that's why this film was so like great in the regard that I don't need to worry about like giving a shit about what's going to happen with
it's
like
not going to tie into 17 movies in the future.
Exactly. I want to watch it because I want to watch a Deadpool movie that features Wolverine. Like that is what I want to watch. Like I don't care about timelines and how this connects to what character in MCU and all that stuff. So, like, for that reason, I enjoyed just whenever it was just Deadpool and Wolverine, like just them, focused on them, I enjoyed it. Like, if you ignore the villains, if you ignore the whole overarching story, you'll have a really good time.
So, are you ready for ratings, or do you have anything else to say about Deadpool and Wolverine?
Now, I'm curious to know, like, what's your take on what did you like the most about the film, apart from it being Deadpool and Wolverine?
That's a good question. I liked a lot of the action scenes. I liked a lot of the fighting. I enjoyed a lot of that. I felt like the choreography was pretty well done. A lot of these movies, you'll get the crazy spin cuts and you don't know what's exactly happening. But I felt like that opening shot, like that was a good representation of what the movie could be. Just a lot of slapping and shooting guns and pulling out katanas and slapping them all over the place, and like it seemed that like the comedic theme in the movie was like it's almost there up to like where would you expect. Yeah, I really enjoyed the fight scenes. And
the opening was the standout for you.
Yeah, that was where I was like, okay, I'm ready for this goofy ass movie. Let's watch it. And then I'm gonna roll my eyes when the plot comes as an actual call to action.
I mean, I might be wrong, but isn't this like the first time we saw Wolverine on all fours, like charging?
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, sure. That's what a Wolverine does. There's sometimes they'll do like a call to like this fastball special where Wolverine will like curl into a ball and then somebody with super strength will throw him. They'll do stuff like that. They didn't do any of that in this movie, which that's whatever. Deadpool isn't strong.
And like, what did you think of like Jackman's portrayal of Wolverine?
Great.
I mean,
you did great.
Did you feel like there was like something with the character you would have liked to see, or something that it was missing?
No, I don't think so. I liked Jackman's portrayal. Like you said, he can pretty much do Wolverine however the hell he wants. It's his role. Deadpool is Ryan Reynolds just being Ryan Reynolds. So if he acted any way different, you would notice right away, because I watched some of the interviews, like they did a thing on Hot Ones and he was just being himself. And then I watched a couple of interviews where they did like a lie detector test. Ryan Reynolds is just being himself, saying goofy things. He's Deadpool. He's just being Deadpool.
Yeah. Kind of like RDJ and Tony Stark.
Yeah, exactly. Like he'll say some random reference to something obscure, be really goofy and silly, and just be a pretty easy person to talk to.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. A nice touch that I liked was, it kind of makes sense. It kind of would have made sense if it was just Wolverine sacrificing himself to save the universe, because he's essentially got nothing left, right? But I like the fact that it was both of them, and I thought that made it better. At least that part where they had to like stop whatever that contraption was.
The MacGuffin.
Yeah, the MacGuffin. I don't even know what it's called. That's how little
it was like the deunifier or something. The electric boogaloo machine. That's basically what it was.
Yeah. But it leaves things in a pretty interesting place. You reckon Jackman returns again for a Deadpool movie?
Probably one more time.
Or for any Marvel movie?
Not for any Marvel movie. It has to be Deadpool. I don't think he'll just come back for anything. Because he doesn't want to be roped
Avengers?
into the MCU. Well, they're eventually...
You don't know that.
I don't know that, but I'd like to think.
I mean, Deadpool even says, ooh, get that
You're going to be working for 90 years.
MCU cash.
Great. Honestly, I think you should retire the character after this. But then again, they got to make their money. They're going to do an X-Men movie at some point. Marvel will, because they bought the rights. Are they going to bring them back? They're going to dig them out of the grave?
Of course they're going to bring them back. They're probably going to be in the Avenger films. I mean, you've already got a Fantastic Four film coming out next year.
Are they going to fight Galactus? Is Galactus also going to be played by Robert Downey Jr.?
I'm not sure.
Josh Brolin
it's interesting. I did miss Cable. I wish.
He was great.
I wish he was in the film. I think it would have made it even funnier. But
because he's also Thanos.
There's a joke in there where he's like he didn't test well with the focus group.
Got it. Is it because he's an X-Man?
No clue, but it would have been funny because considering you've got like actors who've played two characters in this superhero genre, it would have been funny if he was there as well, because obviously he was Thanos, so
right.
It would have been played for laughs.
Oh, absolutely.
But they didn't decide to go down to that route, so that's yeah. Are you curious to see? I mean, sidetrack a bit here, but are you curious to see how Robert Downey Jr. comes off as Doctor Doom, or you got no expectations?
He's always been good as Iron Man, so it's just interesting how he would play a shitheel. Because there are actors that can do villains well, like Jeff Goldblum. That's great way to do a villain. Just be a silly goofball. There's ways to do it good, and there's ways to do it bad. You could take any of the DC villains, like any of them. Unless you're the Joker, I don't really want anything to do with you. Like Jared Leto, yeah. There's.
Oh, that was a disaster.
Yeah. Suicide Squad, only good if you're directed by James Gunn. I think he could do a good job. Really, I'm more concerned with the writing. Aren't the Russos attached to it?
Yeah, I mean the Russos are coming back for both Avenger films, so
I don't think anybody else should touch that movie other than them.
Yeah, they're probably the only. Although the only worrying sign is ever since they did Endgame, they've not had a successful hit. So
that's not good.
But, that being said, maybe what they need is just to rekindle the old formula that works. Maybe, I don't know, if they get they're getting the same creative team back, it could result in a sparked again formula that works. But there's still a long way to go. But the thing is, there's not an awful lot of movies in the run up to it to build it up, so it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do in that limited run of time.
Right.
Because apart from Deadpool and Wolverine, I think the only thing we've got to look forward to is Thunderbolts and a Captain America movie, which
I saw the
features
trailer for the Captain America. It looked okay.
All right, I haven't seen it. I've just heard that there's a Red Hulk in it. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, isn't he a part of the Thunderbolts?
Oh, is he? Okay.
I want to say.
I don't know.
I'm talking out of my ass. I'm not a crazy, well-learned comic nerd, but I know some stuff.
Come on, you're an MCU fan.
I'm an
you're
MCU
a Marvel
fan. I do my homework. I watch my garbage movies. I eat that skoy slop. I just nom 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 nom. I go to the theater. I buy my ticket. I buy 4 tickets. No, I'm kidding. I don't do that. Who buys tickets to movie theaters anymore?
Rip.
Rip.
I mean, you can't even get a physical ticket.
Right. You don't want another another movie stub to put on your tack board?
Nah.
Nah.
No more.
No more. It's going to be a streaming certificate you're going to print out that you watched it on the release day.
Yeah, which is a bit of a shame because
right.
I used to collect stubs back in the day.
Oh. That doesn't surprise
now
me.
they're all digital.
Right. Yeah, I didn't get a
But
stub.
I actually have a lot of stubs from like the earlier Phase 2, 3, Phase 1 Marvel films.
Okay.
I still have them.
Cool.
Which is pretty cool to look back on. But we'll see how this goes. I'm definitely curious to see how he goes with it. I think Robert Downey Jr. kind of did a side quest, won an Oscar in the meanwhile, decided he's quite clearly a genius level actor, and is coming back with an $80 million plus paycheck. Why not? Gets to save
God
the
damn.
Marvel Cinematic Universe once
That
again.
movie is going to have to make so much stupid money. Oh, my God.
Oh, it will. It will make money.
Okay. You're already confident.
Well, come on. This film had 2 superheroes and it's made $1 billion.
The hubbub about this movie, everyone and their mom was going to go see it because it was the only good thing to see in the theater in the last 3 months.
True, but it was also rated R.
I suppose. I see. Disney, you got to start making all your movies rated R. We'll go see them.
I wish, man.
Right.
I wish they did more. In fact, can you imagine Deadpool coming in an Avenger movie?
Yeah, I'm gonna pass. If it's an R movie, sure.
That would be so wrong.
Yeah. Oh, he'll make
What
jokes
are they gonna
about
do,
it.
just
He's like,
bleep him out?
I'm T for teen or something goofy, or he'll be not shooting guns. He'll be shooting friendship beams at people.
And every word would be bleeped.
Bleeped. Yep. Language. Call back to Captain America.
I like the bit where he thought he was Captain America, and
It
he's
was
like,
awesome.
"Stay close,
He's
stay close," and he
gonna say it. He's gonna say it.
he goes to grope him,
Say it. Yeah.
and then they're like, "We don't know that guy."
Flame on. And he's like, "What the fuck?"
Did you see the post credit?
Yeah, I did.
montage
I did.
and
They got him to say it. Yeah, I thought the Fox stuff was cute. It was a bunch of bloopers, and I was wondering if they were going to do an after credit thing. And of course, I'm a good Marvel boy. I stayed. I saw it. I liked
nice.
it. It was great seeing Captain America. The guy who played Captain America curse a bunch. He is a human.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know people will always remember him as Captain America, but I have memories as a kid of watching him as the Human Torch
I do too.
in the shitty Fantastic Four movies. Even though they're bad, I'm not saying they're great, but I still remember them. So I think that sense of nostalgia with, even though a performance or a film may pass in time, I think the nostalgia and the sense of appreciation for it will always grow. And that can be said for the Fox movies as well. I mean, it's not a perfect superhero franchise, but I'm glad that they could acknowledge it and have fun with it and sort of wrap it up. It was good to see, and it was also really funny when Deadpool's like, "Fuck you, Fox! I'm going to Disneyland," and he literally flips the camera.
Yep.
That was
Very Deadpool.
that was funny. That was just Deadpool doing Deadpool. But yeah, let's go to ratings.
All right.
You
wanna
should I go first?
You go first.
Yeah, sure. All right. So look, I mean, I've already gone through a lot of critical discussion on it, so I'm not going to be critical. I'm just going to say it's a 7 out of 10 for me. Sure. I enjoyed it. There were some great moments that worked for me, and it was great to see Hugh Jackman return as Wolverine and finally give us the pairing. I loved the certain selection of cameos like Channing Tatum. I thought was a big standout for me. Loved that. Loved how the jokes and the whole the whole riffing off each other thing really worked for me, and I'm glad they could sort of twist it around and bring these characters who nobody would have ever thought about seeing ever again, and sort of give them another chance. So that bit was pretty wholesome. The action was great at certain points, but I just feel like the screenplay is too much of a mess. But that being said, end of the day, I was only watching it because of these characters. Like, my expectations on quality storytelling and plot narrative was kind of on the backseat. I'm just here to have a good time. I had a great time. It didn't match my expectation, but it wasn't worse than what we've seen with the MCU in the recent few years. So I still had a good time, so I'm just going to settle for a 7.
All right. I felt like this is a great turn your brain off movie because plot kind of sucks. But it does show you what a Deadpool movie would look like with a shit ton of money put into it. Maybe it needed more money. I'm sure a lot of it was paid for the cameos. Like I said, a number of sweet cameos. It's kind of head spinning. I liked Wesley Snipes. I liked Channing Tatum. I enjoyed seeing all these characters that I grew up with. It was a true love letter to the fans. As a Marvel shill and fanboy, as a Marvel fan, it was a great step forward to what a Marvel movie should be more like. If they just get the writing and the pacing down, I think we might be coming back to good Marvel movies. We can't all do great movies, but at least this is a good turn in the right direction. I don't want more Eternals. I don't want more Thor: Love and Thunder. We need more fun movies like Deadpool. Not every movie needs to be a narrative spin piece into your greater storyline. It could just be a one shot, Planet Hulk, doing their own thing.
Yeah. And finally an R-rated film in the MCU. The first that was
technically, yes. The
pretty good.
Pacing lowers my rating. I was going to give this a crazy glowing rating. But I'm going to give it a great rating. The story didn't kill me as much as it killed you. The writing. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. As a Marvel fanboy, I'm paid by Disney to obligated to say this.
Get that sweet MCU cash.
Yeah. All right. That's really all I have to say about this. Do you have anything else to say about Deadpool and Wolverine?
Nope, but I sure as hell hope I can see them again.
Right. All right. What do you have for our next recommendation for our next podcast episode?
All right. So for the next one, I'm thinking of covering a black comedy film called Sexy Beast. That came out 24 years ago, I believe. It's a film directed by Jonathan Glazer, the director of Ex Machina and Civil War. And it's a film about an ex-gangster called Gal Dove, who served his time behind bars and is blissfully retired to a Spanish villa paradise with his wife. But his idyllic life is shattered by the arrival of his nemesis, Don Logan. Intent on persuading Gal to return to London for one last big heist, desperate not to sacrifice his enchanted existence, Gal is drawn into a shocking battle of wills with Logan and takes part in a sensational underwater heist risking everything to protect the woman he loves. So, we will see you for that.
Awesome. If you don't want any spoilers for Sexy Beast, is that what the title was, right?
Indeed.
Awesome.
Correct.
Then you should watch that before you watch our next podcast. All right. So, signing out.